name is Rebecca Scheck-Snyder. I am a Contracts and Assets Administrator at the Sandoval County Finance Department. I work to coordinate and support our county library bond program and support our library's needs. A quick thank you to Jason, our library director, and the city of Rio Rancho for hosting us at this beautiful library. Please let me know if you need anything or have any questions. With that, I will turn it over to our county manager, Wayne Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Sorry. Now I'm going just the opposite direction. I'm a little taller than Rebecca is. Most of you probably have worked with Rebecca over the last year or so on your library, so it's great to put a face to the name. Thank you again, Jason, for having us and putting this venue together for us. As Rebecca said, we'll be live streaming for posterity. We will have one more meeting of the public sort meeting up in the Placitas Library. That'll be a little different because we had some connectivity problems, so we won't be able to live stream that presentation, but the county is going to record it and we will post it online for the public to be able to view it. A few years ago, hey Commissioner, how are you? You snuck it in on me. You got to watch Commissioner Hurd. He's very sneaky. He's very fast. Welcome. Would you like to say a couple words before we get going?
No, you got it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for being here. Let me go over real quick kind of what the library bonds are and how this works. Speaking of working. No? Wrong way? And that way. There we go. So our library bonds are part of our GEO bond package that we're putting together right now. It includes basically our county projects as well as your library bond package. Now, there are certain things that you can use your library bonds for, mostly capital. We encourage you to use it for capital items. Operations, for example, is one of those things that you cannot use it for. The county bonds this year for the library section is going to be right about $3.3 million. That's the total package. Want that back? There we go. Okay. This is also where we pay for things like fire stations and fire trucks and other capital needs for the county. I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? I'll get there. All right, these are the permissive uses. Obviously, facilities projects, roofs, capital improvements. You're also allowed to use them for things like books and subscriptions. These are very difficult things sometimes. Normally, capital GEO bonds are capital related only. They're not something that you can use for even subscriptions. Library bonds are kind of carved out of that a little bit in that historically you had newspapers where you had a physical something that you received as part of that subscription. Over the years, now you're mainly using these to pay for things like, well, it used to be even discs, but now it's just subscription online that you can get onto, and you don't ever receive anything physical. So that's been an ongoing discussion with our bond counsel about how that works and whether that's actually something that's legal, because there is no tangible asset that's involved. GEO bonds are used for tangible assets. Prohibited uses, operating expenses, short-term contracts, a year or less, salaries, can't use it for your salaries, utilities, normal wear and tear items, things that are consumables, if you will, and internet access. You all have seen this form. This is where you put your projects together and give us a short presentation on your budget that we then submit to the commission. And this is last year's, or I shouldn't say last year's. 2 years ago, this is the current cycle that you're in. Remember, these are 2-year bond cycles for 3 years worth of spending. And that's something the county changed a few years back. We were on a 4-year cycle for many, many years. And what ended up happening is you ran out of money after 3 years. because you have to spend the money within 3 years of the bonds being sold. And that you ended up with a dead year, that 2 years, or well, that was about 6 years ago, we switched to a 2-year cycle. And this year, this one's saying 3.3, but there's some fees not included. It's 3.1 million is what we went out to a couple years ago. It's essentially the same amount this cycle, adjusted for inflation. So the number we're looking at is 3.3 million. Thank you, and these are the next meetings. The next meeting will be June 9th at 5:30 at the Placitas Senior Center, and we have a number of folks as signed up. There'll be another 6 or 8, probably 8 presentations in addition to the 2 tonight, and then everybody's got to come on the 30th to present before the commission. Remember, while we as staff members may make some suggestions with regard to these projects, generally speaking, it'll be the commission, yes, that's you, Commissioner, that makes up their minds over how to allocate these costs and which projects are important. They're all important. Let's just put that out there. They're all important, but how to prioritize them, because we do have a finite amount of money that go through each one of these bond cycles. We wish we didn't, but I'm fairly certain that the taxpayers are glad that we do have some constraints here and there. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our first presenter from the village of Amos Springs. Or do you want to go first? All right.
Put me in the hot seat.
All right. Director Shooter.
Okay. Can I have my clicker?
Yes, sir. You don't want me driving, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the Rio Rancho Public Library. Thank you for coming out today. Jason, I've been the director here for 4 years, so this will be my 3rd bond cycle, and appreciate you all coming. Okay. I want to start with a big thank you. The increase in bond funding with the last bond cycle was huge for all our libraries in the county. So thank you to the commissioners, county staff, and to the voters of Sandoval County. It was huge, and it's really appreciated. A little bit about our libraries overall throughout the county. I just think this is exciting numbers. We have 16 library systems. We have 18 library facilities. We have over 77,000 library cards, so over half the county population has a library card. So I love that. This is a fantastic county to live and work in. Tons of library visits, tons of library items checked out. If those people went and bought every one of those books and movies on their own, that's like $50 million worth of material provided largely through this bond funding to our community. Tons of programs, tons of hours open. So we do great work in this county. I'm proud of everything that we do. Here in Rio Rancho, we have a third of the county have a Rio Rancho Public Library card. And someone just got one today, so that adds even more, right? Since the last bond cycle, we've added 11,000 new users to the Rio Rancho Public Library. I love that. We have 3 locations in the bookmobile. So as of the 1st, we had 47,000 active library cards here. Lots of activity, lots of visits. Rio Rancho loves its library, and I love that. So a little bit about bond funding, and County Manager Johnson mentioned this. So the graph, over time, the amount of funding had regressed as the population of the county increases, inflation, and then we got that nice, beautiful spike in 2024 where they increased bond funding. It was a 65% increase, and it just made such a huge difference to the readers and citizens of the county. So I won't hit the details of too many things, but way back in 2006, basically the per capita library funding was $9.04. The increase in 2024 brought that up to $10.45, which is fantastic, but $10.45 doesn't buy as much as it did in 2006. So I'm heartened to hear that the county's looking at about 3.3. That's a fantastic increase. That'll keep it right about where it is, and I think that's great for all our community. So once again, thank you for that. The spending on the 2024 bond here in Rio Rancho. So we received just over 1.8, as the county manager mentioned. spent on over 3 years. So we try to hit about $600,000 per year in spending so that we're keeping a nice, even, consistent amount of services. So we just closed out the 2022 bond. We just started spending on 2026. So we've got about $200,000 spent, and we should have over that, it's about 621, we think, by the time this next bond is on the ballot in November. So today, a little bit on our operational software, electronic resources, lots of books. We ordered new self-checkout machines, and we have our big operational stuff by November, a fair bit more on books. The Esterbone parking lot's being renovated. Ground broke on that on Monday, so that is just happening just now. And we're going to have a little adjustment to the parking here to accommodate our bookmobile to keep it a little more secure. So that'll be for that. So for 2026 bond, we're asking for $2,005,000. So $668 per year over 3 years. We spread it out through our 3 buildings. That's kind of how we're looking at it. About $200,000 per building for the next 3 years to keep us going. So the first one, the Esterbone Public Library. So we have a beautiful backyard, and it's difficult to use for programming space. We had a local City of Rio Rancho Quality of Life bond, committed to just over $300,000 for that project. We're hoping for another $350,000. So the city bond will be used to renovate the covered space there, so it's more of a formal auditorium, provide performances, and then we're hoping for a little bit extra funding to provide a fence in the property, a little bit better, to provide some ADA accessible pathways for users, and a little bit more shade back there. And there's no exit off the back of the building into that space, so people have to go out the front and around, so we're hoping to have an ADA compliant door there in the back added. We're looking at about $250,000 for acoustic treatment in this building and the Esterbone Public Library. Our fancy ceiling in here was a test, so we do our Jiggle and Jam story time in here once a week. We have between 100 and 120 people in here, jiggling and jamming. It's very loud in the library. Also in the Library of Things, we check out decibel readers. So we checked one out to ourselves, and we were testing Jiggle and Jam. So just these ceiling tiles had a huge decrease in the acoustic level, and people always want libraries to be quiet. People also always want to have lots of activity in libraries, so anything we can do to try to improve that user experience is fantastic, and I think that these are a cost-effective and efficient way of doing so, as opposed to doing something that's more invasive. Basically, building maintenance and just swap out the ceiling tiles with these fancy ones. So I'm hoping to do that in 2 of our buildings. We need a little bit more money, or asking for a little bit more money, for what we're calling the Learn and Play Center. So we have $500,000 in state capital outlay for this project. It'll be here at the Loma, Colorado Library in the far corner. If you want to check it out after the meeting. These are some early concept drawings. We're in the process of getting real design drawings done now, but the idea is we don't have a Explora type space in Sandoval County. This won't quite be that, but we want to bring some of those kind of learning exhibits here for the community, so they're a little bit more accessible for folks in the county. So I think we're hoping another $150,000 on top of that. $500,000 should be enough to get all the elements built and installed that we're hoping to get. We're looking, we're asking for $100,000 for some nursing mothers pods. So again, Jiggle and Jam, over 100 people in here. People with small children often have even smaller children with them around the way. So we know we don't have a very welcoming space for nursing mothers. These are kind of cool off-the-shelf product. They're secure. Users download an app, and so they can just access it. They don't have to worry about talking to someone at the desk and getting a key, or worry about some creeper coming in. So we're hoping to get a couple of these here at Loma, Colorado, Esterbone. If they go well over time, we might look at adding one to the hub, but it's a small building, so I don't know that we have space for it, but definitely we have space in our other buildings. So I'll be on our nursing mothers and our families, and we had probably 500 people in here this morning for the horse. We had a horse for summer reading program, and there was 2 mothers nursing that I saw, so it's neat. Some smaller equipment. The library security gates are at end of life. We're having lots of trouble with those, so we're hoping to get those replaced. Those are the anti-theft pieces, so people can't grab a movie or a book off the shelf and just walk out with it without checking out. So we're hoping to change those out at all the libraries. And we currently have 4 book lockers deployed around town. These work just like an Amazon Bolts pickup or an Amazon locker, and they're for your books and your movies and your library of things that are smaller, that are on hold. You can pick them up there. We don't have one outside this building or Esther Bone. We do have one outside the hub, and people really hope to get that. They want one here and they want one at Esther Bone so they can pick stuff up after the library's closed. So we're looking at a couple of those installed. The short-term capital, this is what we've traditionally asked for with a modest increase for inflation. As the county manager said, these things can be a little hit or miss on where they fit. We really worked, Caitlin in the back has really worked with our vendors to change our contracts to make sure that these are all longer and more enduring contracts, so that these are items or digital virtual items that we will have access to over time. So we have some commitment there. So a little bit about libraries to remind everyone. We enhance literacy, improve education. We combat the loneliness epidemic. We have all kinds of people meeting up at the library, people of all ages. We have a knitting group that just kind of started naturally, but they happen to meet after school. Fast forward a couple years, we have a bunch of teens that are part of the group, and they just show up, and so we're having this intergenerational activity, and some of the seniors go to some of the kids' school events. They're not their kids, they're just the kids that knit with them at the library. So places for people to meet. We host regular job fairs, we do resume workshops, we help people find jobs, we assist them with technology, we provide support groups for people, families with suffering from someone with Alzheimer's and dementia. We provide safe spaces for youth. We do tons of things, but these are maybe some of the things people don't think about off the top of their head. So, also a reminder of how much people love libraries in this county, right? So, the county's voted yes to every library GO bond. The city of Rio Rancho has voted yes to every quality of life facilities bond, and the state of New Mexico as a whole has voted yes to every state library GO bond since 1992. New Mexico loves its libraries, and that's fantastic. So, my final slide, thank you once again for increasing the funding the last cycle. That was fantastic. This cycle, we're recommending that you, at minimum, keep it the same, and a modest increase is fantastic. Rio Rancho is asking for the $2 million out of that. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you for this opportunity to do this. Appreciate it. All right.
So the first thing you have to do when you come up here is you have to, not you, sorry, Andrew, you have to tell me how to say your name. Okay, we're at least, well, Andrew, I've got that. Okay, come on up.
Thank you. I'm just trying to figure out how to advance.
Not just me,
the tuners. Okay.
down goes forward.
It's the opposite way you expect this.
Okay. That's why I wanted to test it first. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about our capital needs and what we're planning to ask in the next county bond cycle. What I would like to do first is to tell you a little bit about our library, because this is going to be a whiplash. It's going to be a very, very different from what Jason just showed us. Although in some respects it's the same. We're loved, we're heavily used, but the specifics are entirely different. Then I will tell you how we spent the last bond cycle that just closed up, what we are doing with the money we have now, and what and why we are asking for the 2027 cycle. So My name is Andrea Derukov. I am the director at the Candy Springs Public Library. I just celebrated my 1 year on the job on the 17th of May, so pretty new to the community. It's a tiny library in a mountain village. So our legal service area, I think, according to the last census, is 192 people. So again, very different specifics. Obviously, we do serve not just people from the village, but people from various unincorporated areas around throughout the valley. At our peak, we had about, I think, 2,000 active library cards. We've been doing, actually just in the last several months, going through and discontinuing the ones where we know for sure people moved or unfortunately passed. So I think right now we are down to something like almost 500, the ones that we know for sure people are there. But the library is a true hub of the community. People read a lot. We also put a lot of programming, and since I came in last year, I've been working on increasing the programming. So some of the things that happened, meaningful things that happened over the last year, not just with the county bond money, but in general. This is our kids section area, and thanks to local donors, we've been able to get a completely new set of bookshelves, which increased our space. So now we need more money to maintain and grow the collections. This is the same room from a different angle. We're small but cozy and very friendly. This is our regular adult shelving areas, and behind that we've got our public use computers. We have the New Mexico section, and if you remember my predecessor doing her presentation last year, you will know why this is so remarkable, and I will touch on that specifically in a minute. And the county bond money specifically had a lot to do with this. And this is our brand new teens and young adult areas. We once we got that new set of bookshelves for the kids section, it basically triggered a domino effect where we rearranged practically everything around the library, and we believe we've increased the usable space and we've increased the quality of the user experience with what we've done. This is the sample of our programming. This is what we do, and I'm particularly excited to mention that next Saturday we are hosting Ann Hillerman. So it's first come, first served. The event takes place at 2 o'clock. We open the doors at 1, so if you want to take a chance and drive up right around 1, you're more than welcome. This I just wanted to boast, basically. This is from one of our most recent story times, and this one of the most rewarding aspects of running a library is to see things like this, to see kids come in and listen to a book, grab a whole bunch of books, and then go and paint and make a glorious mess. So our capital needs should be pretty clear just from this picture. It's a very peculiar building we have. In fact, it's kind of a little bit of a chimera from 2 original buildings. The one on the right was, I believe, a modular unit to begin with. The one on the left was actually a shed or mobile home, something to that effect. So, they came together, and now the left side, that's the library, and a little bit of the right side, and the rest is the community and the library conference room, where we put a lot of indoor programming. So this is the entrance to the conference room, and this is the entrance to the library itself. And again, the pictures, I think, speak louder than words. Now, we did get separate capital funding for the front, so we will be fixing. Well, fixing is kind of a relevant term. We will be tearing down those decks completely and rebuilding them from scratch with more appropriate materials, ADA compliant ramps and all of those kinds of things. But we have a particular need that did not fit into any of those spots, and that's where the county money, we hope, will save the day. Now, there is a funny aspect to it. We're going to be asking basically for the same thing 3 cycles in a row, but there is a reason, I promise. And I'll tell you about it right now. So this was the 2023 cycle. And what we originally asked for, you can see design and build shade structure for attached deck. So basically it's a back deck. You will see the pictures in a minute, like prepare yourselves. You thought the front was scary a little bit. The back is worse. So we asked for that money, but then what happened is basically the library almost disintegrated from the top. We discovered structural water damage in the ceiling. We discovered 2 types of mold. The whole collection had to be moved out for almost a year, and we are very grateful to our local Presbyterian church because they housed the collection and the makeshift temporary offices for staff that in that environment. I wasn't there, but I'm very proud of my predecessors because they managed to establish some public hours and to circulate some of the collection, which was mostly in the storage while the building was fixed. So the money that we asked for that back deck was redirected with approval to save the building, to enable our continuity as a library. And then you can see we spend the rest on again, approved expenses, mostly collection development, a lot of this physical books, non-traditional circulation, items, equipment purchase. So we actually, because of our specifics, like the internet in that area, we do subscribe to Blvd and Canopy, but they're not our heaviest used assets simply because for a lot of people that's not technologically tenable. So we still have a very robust DVD collection, which we continue to develop, and DVDs keep getting more and more expensive, but they circulate because people still have DVD players. And yes, I am proud of that 0.84 cents left. I did want to show it because I know it sometimes comes up. The county would like us to spend money up front or as soon as possible, but I believe it, other people iterated it during these meetings before. I can't buy what's not published yet. So if I can, there's tons of stuff out there. I can spend the money now, but then, the next James Patterson comes out 2 months from now that people really want, and they already have a line for it. I won't have that money. So we do stretch, and we do actually consciously leave a biggest chunk for the end of the cycle. That's what makes sense for us and for our users. This was one, I just wanted to boast, this was one of our technological expenses from that cycle. We already had 2 of these. These are org computers, AWE. They're for kids. They're not connected to the internet. They're loaded with various educational games. So we bought the 3rd unit because they're always in demand. Always, especially when school's out, kids are on them all the time. And then we resorted to some ingenuity because we couldn't find the Demco table desk because these are very heavy units. So we got a workbench from Home Depot, and it works like a charm. So thank you. That was a the third new, it's a new generation. There are some new games there and the kids just love it. So what we are doing now, so in 2025, Janet Phillip, my predecessor, came and explained about the 2022 and how we had to save the library, and that's why we didn't address the back deck issue. She asked for more money again for the back deck, and you can see from the description, it's a very detailed description because the idea was, we'll do very specific things, shade, it's like fixer-up situation. Now, what happened is we've since discovered that's not going to work. So, one, because the whole thing, like the front, it needs to be replaced. Like there is no point putting that shade on the structure that it is now, because it's kind of like trying to put a crown on the tooth that just needs to come out and be replaced. That's that kind of situation. And as a cherry on top, we discovered that there is a sewer line, the main sewer line, right underneath the deck, and there are certain legal requirements where we need a structure, basically, that would allow us, if necessary, to get to that line to do repairs or something like that. So, what we are planning to do with the money that we got for the back deck, it's going to be spent on the back deck, but not on the construction yet. We need to hire an architect and engineer to get the design. So this is not something where we can just get a contractor, write some specs, fix this, fix this. We need to go from scratch. We need to get an expert. We need to explain our parameters, and we need to get the design. So right now, we estimate it's going to be at least $27,000 just to get the design. At which point, whatever's going to be left there, obviously, there is no talking about the construction, and we will fold it into collection development and short-term capital needs. And then, so what we are going to ask this cycle is we're going to ask for $85,000 for the back deck, because that is now will be complete rebuild, and the pictures are coming. And we are going to ask for $33,000, and it's basically collection development, technology, and the biblionics. That's the library system. That's kind of what runs everything, right? And we like to have a stable pot of money for that, as small as, relatively speaking, that expense is, because that's what we operate. So, if you're ready, this is the back deck. Okay, you can see why Janet was talking about the shade, because it's the slats on top. So in the summer, it's a heat stroke waiting to happen. That ramp, there is a ramp. Last time, I went just myself. Forget about wheelchairs or anything like that. The middle is ready to fall through. It's kind of done. Little close up. That's the ramp. And interestingly enough, if you two pictures down, it kind of leads through the gravel. So it's there, but again, we do have a patron currently. We do have a patron in the wheelchair who actually comes to a lot of our programming, and we're thrilled, but we would never, under any circumstances, ask her, would she be able to use this back entrance, because of the ramp, but because she wouldn't even be able to get to the ramp because there is gravel there, and it won't happen. So this needs to go, and this needs to be completely rebuilt. And while we're doing that, this is the walk around, the wraparound walk, the south end of the building that connects, so that the back deck starts right here in the lower left part of the screen. So we want to ensure that it connects smoothly, that again, that there is a way, if necessary, for the wheelchair to go all the way through, so, 2 access points from the front if necessary, and then, a meaningful ramp from the back. And that's what feeds that number that you saw that we're going to ask for. So thank you very much for this opportunity to tell you about what we've done with the money you gave us, and hopefully we'll get some more in the 2027 cycle. Thank you.
So that concludes our presentations today. Thank you, Andrew. I still am not going to try and pronounce your last name. I've been up to that library. It's a very nice library, and they really did go through a lot of struggles over the last couple of years to put that facility back together. Jason, a very good presentation. Thank you again for having us here today. Our next meeting will be June 9th, next week, and it'll be same time, 5:30 at the Placitas Library, up 165. Will be on your left, the only library on your left up there. So I hope that you'll watch a little later, because we can't stream live up there. Another one of the problems with rural libraries and rural communities is internet service isn't always the best. Yes, I'm being, oh yes, okay.
The location is Placitas Senior. I was like, they're not the same.
Oh, it's at the Placitas Senior Center. I thought it was at the library.
Well, it was last time.
Okay, sorry. I'm having a flashback to 2 years ago. Don't go to the Placitas Library. Go to the Placitas Senior Center, which is 41 Camino de los Huertas, which isn't on 165. You'll have to go to Camino de los Huertas and make a left. Can't miss it after that. But and then finally, all of the presentations will be put before the commission again. It'll be on the 30th at 1 p.m. Be a little longer meeting than this one was, and hopefully you'll all be there. And that's when the commission will be talking about allocations of those funds. We won't vote on it at that point, but that will give staff our marching orders for how to adjust the funds. And I would imagine that you'll have a few questions asked by the commission about the projects and how you use the money. I do want to say that I believe, now please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think most of the libraries have done a pretty good job in those last couple of years of moving out funds. We had some problems, particularly in the COVID era, with libraries not being able to spend their money, not being able to get contractors out to do some of these capital projects. So we very much appreciate your efforts in that regard, and I think that's kind of eased up over the last few years. So again, thank you for being here, and we'll see some of you again on the 9th. Thank you.